Welcome to Eres Cultural Center, Zohar connection class. Tonight we're going to study two parshiot. This Shabbat we're going to read two parshiot, aAcharei Mot and Kedoshim. aAcharei Mot in the meaning of after death, the death of two sons of Aaron, and Kedoshim is holy. این شبات دو تا پرشا میخونیم. پرشای aAcharei Mot که میشه بعد از مرگ بچه‌های Aaron و Kedoshim holy. And it's very interesting. Last week we had a combination of two parshot also. It was Tazria and Metzora, and we said the combination means plant a seed but then take out the bad part of it. Tazria was meaning plant a seed, and Metzora take out the negative part of it. We are not extremely spiritual people. We don't, every seed we plant not necessarily is good. So they tell us after you plant the seed, look at it and take off the negative part of it. This week is again, we have this combination, after death, holiness. What does that mean? The Zohar explained to us that after death, holy means if you overcome the fact of death, you have a chance to touch holiness. I'm going to repeat. If you overcome death, you have a chance, you have an opportunity to reach holiness. What does it mean to overcome death? Let's say, God forbid, I'm in a bad relationship, and I said, you know what, this relationship is over. There is no way I can fix it anymore. This relationship is dead. So the Zohar tells us, if you find a way through spirituality, through all the lessons we learn, kindness, love, netzach, having certainty, bringing peace to your life, bring Torah to your life, if you're able to overcome this death, then you are connecting to this holiness that's going to bring you all the blessings in the world. If one day I said, God forbid, and somebody go out of business, he says, you know what, I cannot do business anymore. That business part of me is dead. And the Zohar says, no, never believe in any kind of death. And if I learn to transform myself, if I learn to change myself, if I learn to make myself spiritual and overcome that death, then I'm holy again. Holy means like I'm like God, I'm connected to God. Holy is I'm part of this universe. The explanation of holiness is that everything in the universe are connected, they are one. This is what we speak last week about the wave. Everything is made of weight of God. So if I can overcome death, I'm touching this holiness. If I always said that in Kabbalah we don't believe in death, like a physical death. It's just a transformation of energy. It's like a suit that somebody take off and he's going to wear another suit. So again, is it clear what does it mean? If you overcome death, you're touching this awesome power of holiness. Death in business, death in relationship, death in spirituality, death in, we spoke about it today, that says, we know somebody that says, you know what, this spirituality business is not for me, and he's been studying for years. Again, if you're going to be able to overcome this death that he believes in, then you're going to be able to connect back to that spirituality. All the Rabbi Akiva, Ari Kadosh, Rabbi Ashlam, they didn't believe in death. That's why they were connecting to Moshe and they studied with him. In the Zohar, over and over, Rabbi Shimon sit down with Moshe and they study together. If we don't believe in physical death, then we have a chance to get a visit from Eliyahu Navi. Then we give ourselves a chance to have miracles in our life. Even in health, I always say it over and over. God forbidden, if the doctor give us a news, don't believe it. I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to do whatever I have to do, but I don't believe in that not recovering from that sickness. This is the parasha of this week. He says, overcome death, overcome failure, overcome sickness, and you're going to be able to reach holiness. I believe me and Amir, when we experience this many times, through spirituality, through not believing that this is the end, we were able and we experienced with some people a good health came back to that person. So this is the secret of this name, aAcharei mot Kedoshim. We don't believe in end of anything. We don't believe the death of anything. We don't believe in any kind of darkness. If we are able to inject light into that darkness, we're going to overcome that death, and we're going to be able to be connecting to this awesome energy of holiness of Kedoshim. That's the meaning of, this is the connection of these two parashiot. And another secret, do you know when we read again aAcharei mot? In Yom Kippur. In Yom Kippur, we read the parashat aAcharei mot this Shabbat. We also read it in Yom Kippur. The only portion that we read from the Torah, one of the portions that we read from the Torah in Yom Kippur is aAcharei mot. What do you think is the connection is? Why do you think there is a connection between now and Kippur? Remember last week that the Omer is connected to Yom Kippur? This is another confirmation how the Omer is connected to Yom Kippur. I don't know if you were all here last two classes. We said there is 50 days in Omer, and there is 50 gates in Kippur that we are asking God to open for us in Yom Kippur. And by practicing these 50 days of Omer, those 50 gates of Shamayim are going to open for us in Yom Kippur. And another confirmation and another hint for this connection is this week parasha. We are right in the middle of Omer, and we learned that the middle means that everything. The middle usually has the whole energy, it's include the whole thing. So we are in the middle of Omer, and the Torah tells us, remember Yom Kippur, we're going to read this parasha, and Yom Kippur we're going to go back to those 50 days of Omer. If you practice that, then those gates are going to open for you. That's another hint that the Torah is giving us. And we're going to focus on the second portion of the Torah. Kedoshim is full of information, is full of mitzvot, it's full of the right thing to do and not the bad thing not to do. Zohar explained to us that the most important parasha of the Torah is Kedoshim. The most important part of Kedoshim is that famous saying, V'ahavta l'recha kamocha, love your neighbor as yourself. So Rabbi Akiva says the whole Torah comes down to this sentence. And we are so lucky that we have a chance to study this sentence and see what's going on. Before we get to that sentence, I want to cover a few other things. This portion that we're going to read this Shabbat is the third part of a chain information that the Torah want to give us. If you remember, 2 classes ago we studied about the animals, pure and not pure animals. Last week the portion was about speech and how it can bring disease to ourselves, to others, to our clothing, to our house. And this week we are studying about love your neighbor and many other mitzvot, respect your parents, keep Shabbat. So it looks like 2 weeks ago when we studied about, this is not the right I think marker. It doesn't go away. So 2 weeks ago when we studied about animals, we cover nefesh. This is the lowest part of our soul. Nefesh is the animalistic part of our being. This is the part that reacts. You know, somebody make fun of me, I react to him. Somebody cut me in the freeway, I start screaming at him. So we try to correct the animalistic part of our soul. Last week it was about our speech. Ruach, this is the second level of our soul. Ruach is my speech, my midot, my character. You don't, you know, somebody can have a beautiful outfit, but then when he opens his mouth, then you realize who he is. Or maybe somebody, he doesn't look very good, he opens his mouth and we hear, you know, Kedoshim. So last week we learned that by speaking, by saying the right thing, by having the right character, then we can feed our ruach. This week is about neshama. Is about what's in our consciousness. He says, love your neighbor. It's not a physical thing, it's what's in my conscious. It says, respect your parents. It's all about my conscious. So in this period of time, which is equal to Omer, we are trying to correct our 100% of our soul. The nefesh, which talk about the animals, by consuming the good, the right animals, by learning from the animals. What kind of animals we are consuming? The humble one, not the one that they are sucking blood or they are evil. Like we said, this guy act like a snake. He's a sneaky person. So we try to act and be a humble physical being. The second part, the ruach, we corrected last week to have the right character, the right speech. And this week we are learning about our consciousness, our thoughts. So in this period we are correcting the whole soul. And we learned that there is two other section in our soul. It's called Chaya and Yechida. This is in Talmud Sefirot. It's nothing have to do with this portion, but since we're talking about the soul, I want to share with you also about the Chaya and Yechida. Every soul that born comes with a nefesh. Every single human being on the planet, they have the nefesh. Ruach neshama, we have to earn. We have to earn through spirituality, we have to study. Our body doesn't come with it, our soul doesn't come with it. So we have to learn how to behave, we have to learn how to build up our character, and then we have to build up our consciousness. We have to build up our thoughts, vision, knowledge and understanding. There's two more parts of Chaya and Yechida in our soul. They call it Or Makif. I can never have those. I can never have these two parts of the neshama, but they are around me. They are around me. They call it Or Makif, the surrounding light. And they want to come in. They would love to come in and be part of us. But we have to make an opening for them. How do we make an opening for Chaya and Yechida? Our goal is always to reach Bina. We want to reach the Sephirah of Bina. We are in Malchut, and when we are spiritual, when we act with kindness, love, so we achieve this. By being spiritual on Shabbat, on holidays, on classes, when we read Torah, we achieve Bina. We reach into this part of the 10 Sephirot. And they always say that we can never reach Chokhmah and Keter. This is true. But this is where the Chaya and Yechida hide. Chaya and Yechida, they hide in Chokhmah and Keter. I know it's a little bit technical, but I want your neshama, your soul, observe this, and you're gonna be using it someday. So when I reach Bina, when I'm extremely spiritual and I feel extremely high, like on Shabbat, and last night I was studying Torah, I was here. So there is an empty vessel. We talked about this many classes before. There is two, in reality, the Zeher and Pin, these six are one unit. So when I reach Bina, I have two empty vessels. I have my Malchut is empty, and my Zeher and Pin is empty. As soon as I make an empty space, the Chaya and Yechida, they come into my soul, come to my body. And what do they bring? They bring Chokhmah and they bring Keter. What is Chokhmah? Is the ultimate understanding and ultimate, not wisdom, but understanding. Everything becomes clear. I don't see pain anymore. I don't see nothing wrong with the world anymore. I reach the point that I don't believe in death anymore. And what Keter bring for me? A new me. If God forbid I'm sick, this Keter bring a miracle for me that overnight my sickness is gone. If I'm looking for a business, that Keter gonna bring me business. If I'm looking for a soulmate, that Keter bring soulmate for me. So again, by being spiritual, by acting spiritual, by reaching the Bina part, the Keter and Chokhmah are gonna come to my body through Chaya and Yechida. The Chokhmah comes to the Zeher and Pin, and the Keter comes to my Malchut. And just to give you confirmation, what is the most important thing in a Jewish home? To keep Shalom Bayit, to keep good relationship between man and a woman, between husband and wife. And the Malchut is my house, this is where my house is, Malchut. When Keter come to my house, that means everything come to my house. When it's going to come to my house? When I have Shalom Bayit. When I have peace with my wife, or when the wife has a peace with the husband. So when I have a peace in my house, Shalom Bayit, I'm bringing the ultimate energy of the 10 Sefirot to my house. I'm sorry it was a little bit technical, but since we were talking about correcting the soul, I want to share with you guys this awesome energy that is surrounding us. Every single person has it. And it can bring for us everything. Anything you want, it can bring for us. But we have to make a room for it. We have to make a room for it by elevating ourselves, by being a better person, transforming ourselves to a positive, holy person. Now this portion is going to teach us how we can achieve that holiness. By the way, we're going to read a lot from the Zohar today. It's small portion, but strong messages.
Question before we go forward.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
These 5 portions of the soul.
Yeah.
3 that we have and can work on. 1 that we get when we're born, 2 that we have to acquire, and then the other 2 that stay around us. These are the same 5 that are related when we were talking about Simsum and Tikkunim, the 5 sparks of the soul. If we don't complete our Tikkun, then when we die, these split, and then there are more people to help us achieve that.
Simsum, in Kabbalah, it's amazing. We constantly talk about it in my classes. In Kabbalah, we always have to concentrate in one frame. Okay. There are many different frames we can talk about. Okay. Like the Olamot and the universes and the 10 Sefirot. There is 10 Sefirot in each universe. Right. And Tzimtzumim is in a different universe. But like you said, if we don't correct this during our lifetime, yes, it's going to have to come back again.
So these are those 5.
These are the 5.
Okay.
And if we don't correct them, they're going to have to come back and correct it again. Unfortunately, not most of the people, not only they don't correct it, they get even dirtier. They even carry more garbage with them for the next life. That's why the population keep growing all the time, because it needs more people and more people to correct all these issues.
می‌دونید که چه روز قبل از اینکه نطفه بسته بشه شما میره تو بچه
40 days, yes, 40 days.
این چیه گفتی شما ما خودمون باید اکوایر
نه نفش 40 days وقتی بچه دار شده نفشه میاد توش، ولی روح و نشما رو خودمون باید اکوار بکنیم. به نفش
آره نفش میاد پایین
these horrible events that we hear in the news, you know, those people that senseless killings that we hear all the time, they have the nefesh, but obviously they don't have the ruach and the neshama. How can you have ruach and neshama and behead somebody else? So God, in His wisdom, give to everybody nefesh, but not necessarily everybody has ruach and neshama.
Now, was Rabbi Akiva, was he the same rabbi that was asked to teach somebody the Torah while standing on one foot? And he said, love your neighbors.
Exactly. No, somebody, a Roman, approached Rabbi Akiva, says, you know what, I don't have time to study the whole Torah. Tell me the whole Torah in one sentence. He says, love your neighbor as much as you love yourself. We're going to talk about this.
من یه سخنرانی ربایی رو برای شما ایمیل کرده بودم که این گفته بود که این فلسطینی از کجا میاد نگاه نکردی؟
الان وقتش نیست تو الان کلاس ها شب.
قشنگ گفته که چرا اینا اینجوری هم
In this portion, for all the single people, in the portion of aAcharei Mot, it talks about single people that need to find a soulmate.
What?
And please pass it on, you know, to our children, grandchildren, friends, family. We're going to read this Shabbat about not to have unethical relationship. This portion we're going to read. Zohar explained to us that by Torah telling us not to look for unethical relationship means that we have to look for our soulmate in a correct places, in the right places. The Torah says, don't look for your soulmate in the wrong places. I don't want to start judging, but our parents told us, you know, don't look for your soulmate, I don't know, in the bars, in the nightclubs. If you want to find your soulmate, go to a holy place, go to a good, positive place, not necessarily a religious or temple. But I want to take the time and share this with everybody. The Torah says when you are looking for a soulmate, don't look in the wrong places. Look in a right place for your soulmate. It's not only for Jewish people, it's for every single person. It's a long portion and it keeps saying don't look here, don't look there, don't look there. Don't look in the wrong places for your soulmate. Another reason we read aAcharei Mot in Yom Kippur is when a very righteous person passed on from the life, it takes away all the sins from the people. Other religions talk about it also. When Nadav and Avihu, the sons of Aaron, they passed on, that we're going to read about this portion, they took all the sins away. And the reason we read this in Kippur, on Kippur, this is the day that we are begging for God to take our sins away. We don't want to pay for it. We don't want to make a payment for our sins. That's another reason we are reading in this portion. And as Zohar explained to us also, it's an antidote for having a good children, for saving our children's life and saving them healthy and happy and protected during the next year. And this portion talks about, again, judgment is judging others and keep judging other people, God forbidden, is the source of all the chaos in our life. If we stop judging, then the chaos is going to go away too. Now we're going to study about the portion of Kedoshim. there are hundreds of mitzvot of what to do and what not to do in this portion. And again, Rabbi Akiva said the whole Torah is in one sentence, and Zohar says last night all the 613 mitzvot that we are supposed to do and some of them not to do are inclusive and included in V'ahavta l'recha kamocha. And then the Zohar asked this question, okay, I understand the mitzvah of not hurting other people, not stealing from other people, but there is a lot of mitzvah between me and God, like Shabbat, Tefillin. So how, by me practicing loving my neighbor, how is going to complete that mitzvah between me and God? And the answer is that we should read the whole sentence. I'm going to read it in Hebrew and then in English. לא תקום ולא תתר את בני עמך ואהבת לרעך כמוך אני אדוני. You shall not seek revenge or bear a grudge against one of your people, but you shall love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord. So we always say love your neighbor as yourself, but we never say that I'm the Lord, right? That comes right after. By Torah saying I am the Lord means that you become like me. If you become like me, then there is no more, it's not necessary for you to do any mitzvahs for me. If you're going to act like God, if you're going to behave like God, then there is no more need for me to do any mitzvah or any precepts between me and God. That's why this portion is including all the 613 mitzvot. One of the first one I choose to talk about says man should not fear, I'm going to explain it later, man should fear his mother and his father and keep my Shabbat. That's one of the first sentences that Torah starts with. It says fear your mother and father and keep Shabbat. Fear is not the right word, is more like respect, more like having an awe, like looking up to my parents and having a respect, awe. And then he says, keep my Shabbat. So Zohar explained that respecting your parents is as important as keeping Shabbat. And why it says your mother first and then your father, it explains that automatically, all of us, we have this fear or this extreme respect for our fathers. But not necessarily, God forbid, and we don't respect our mother as much. So the Torah emphasizes in this sentence that first your mother and then your father, and it's going to be equal to Shabbat. And this portion starts with Torah says, God says on the Torah, I'm holy and you be holy. So this is the explanation that we did earlier. By us participating in this 10 Sefirot, we're going to be holy like Him. He wants us to be holy. The whole purpose of this Torah, the whole purpose of this studying is to be holy the way He is. One way that we write the name of God, I don't want to write it correctly, so it's Yud K Vav K. So there is a similarity here. This Hey and this Hey, they're equal. This is when we reach Bina. And this Yud and Vav also, they're similar. So when the Torah says, I am holy and be holy like me, means that these two parts, that's the light of God and this is us. We need to make a unification. And that's how the Torah asking us, be holy because I'm holy, because He wanted us to be united with Him. How are we going to become united? And this is by respecting the parents, keeping Shabbat. It says don't steal, don't lie. And there is an interesting section, it says don't curse a deaf person. It's a It's a very interesting section, and we're going to read in the Zohar about it. It says, don't curse a deaf person. What a difference does it make, if the person is deaf, what a difference does it make if I curse him or not? So we're going to read about it in the Zohar. Another section, it says, don't hate your brothers or your neighbors in your heart. It's a very interesting sentence. It says, don't hate anybody in your heart. Because if I'm talking about my hate, it's pretty obvious, but maybe I hate somebody, but I don't bring it out of my mouth. I'm hating somebody from my heart. It's very important that when you're going through this transformation of ourselves, we are fixing our speech, we are fixing our thoughts, we need to cleanse our heart also. Maybe we stop talking about hating other people, and maybe we stop complaining, but he says you need to take it out of your system completely, not only from your speech and thoughts. And this love your neighbor business, what's going on with this love your neighbor? I believe, it happened to me through all my life. I had the most difficult neighbors ever. How can I possibly love my neighbor? Or how is it possible? I'm sure you guys have the same experience too. So what is the Torah wants me to do here? What do you mean loving my neighbor? We don't see Kabbalists going and hugging and kissing their neighbors all day long. So if you remember, we said this portion of the Torah is about our consciousness. It's not about action, it's not about my speech, it's about my consciousness. The Torah wants us to cleanse our consciousness. So maybe I don't get along with my neighbor, but the Torah wants us to not to hate him, not to judge him, to love him if it's a difficult person, not in the extent that I go and talk to him or deal with him or bring him to my house, but in my heart I should love him or her, because end of the day that love or hate stays in my own body. I gave this example before. Maybe I dislike a person in San Francisco. That person right now having a good time, is maybe traveling, maybe he has a drink, has a dinner, but in my body I don't like him, or maybe I hate him. So he's having a blast and I'm sitting home and I'm hating him, and so who's the one that paying for this? Who's the one that's suffering? I'm not taking care of my wife, I'm not taking care of my children, I don't take care of my business because that person, he owed me some money or something. So this portion of the Torah talking about the consciousness. Not loving your neighbor, not because you're doing him a favor or her a favor, you do yourself a favor. Take this sickness out of your body, take this negative thing out of your body. God forbid, and why we have chaos in our life, why we don't feel good, because we bring it to ourselves. By keeping this garbage, keeping this negative baggage with ourselves. The Torah is not talking about let people walk over you and always people make fun of you or take advantage of you. No, he says do your business, stand on your principles, but don't enter anything but love into your system, into your body. Zohar talks about a beautiful steps. Everything in Kabbalah is numbers and steps and olamot and up and down. The Zohar says there is 125 levels. The top one is love. I'm sorry, I don't have the right marker. And the bottom one is selfishness. Selfish. He said this is where God is, and this is where Satan is. So where do you want to be? This 125 levels, how close you want to be to God and ultimate love. The more love you inject in your system, the closer you are to God. the more selfishness, خودخواهی, you inject into your body, you get close, to Satan. So the Zohar says where you want to be, and it's not easy. It's not easy to elevate yourself to a higher level. It's not going to happen overnight, but gradually and surely. Remember we talked about the tree, how tree grows. They grow limitless, gradually, and a little bit every year. This is how we can go up in this level, little by little, every day. The Torah says pruta by pruta, the Zohar, penny after penny. And the first question always come up, okay, I'm gonna love the whole world, but what about me? I mean, people are not nice to me, people that don't treat me nice. And the Zohar says, penny after penny. You know, you are collecting this penny after penny of kindness and love within yourself. And when you're gonna reach the higher levels, this is all the blessings and all the goodness comes to you. Another trick, another beautiful thing about this sentence, "Va'ahavta l'recha kamocha," Hebrew is a very sophisticated language. Re'echa means your kind, your neighbor. Also, Ra means somebody that badito michal, somebody that doesn't want good for you, your enemy even. You can say Ra in Hebrew means bad, worse. So that if we don't even have to change the words, if we pronounce it in a different way, the Torah says, love whoever that hates you also. Again, we explained it earlier. By hating somebody hate me, I'm not doing myself a favor. By practicing, by injecting love in my system, I'm protecting myself, I'm protecting my family, I'm protecting my health. Even if I'm in a horrible situation, I shouldn't inject or bring love to my system, or bring hate to my system. I have to deal with the situation, but again with love, not with hate. The Torah keep talking about the Shabbat and be a good judge, don't cheat. And in the one of the sections towards the end, there was a practice in the old ages, 3,000 years ago. They used to sell their children. So this portion talks about don't sell your children to somebody else. I mean, obviously we don't practice that. Very important for me, it says that we are very, extremely responsible for our children. Doesn't matter what their age, doesn't matter what the scenario is, we are responsible. And the Torah, this portion says, you are responsible for your children. And if you are not, then there is a disconnection again between you and the light. So we are responsible for our children all the time. And it says over and over, don't curse, don't say bad words. And this is, we end up going through the Torah, but now I want to go through the Zohar. This is the Zohar class, the Zohar connection. So I want to explain to you what's going on with the Zohar during this week. If anything is not clear, please let me know so we can go over it. Meanwhile, I'm going to look for the page that I want to talk to you guys about. If you're going to have time, we have a nice meditation too. I thought about it last night. Okay. So we're going to read from the Zohar for the connection to cleanse our consciousness, to cleanse our system. The Zohar talks about, like I said, if you're looking for a soulmate, don't look in the wrong places. Same thing Zohar talks about this week. It says, if you want to do business with the right people. If you want to become friend with somebody, become friend with a spiritual person. It's very interesting that the Zohar says if you want to travel with a spiritual person, you're going to be safe. You remember a few classes ago I said if you're looking for a soulmate, you have to give up anything to try to become a partner with a spiritual person. Or if you want to marry somebody's spiritual daughter, or you want to have a son-in-law, somebody that his father is a spiritual, you have to give up anything for that young man or young woman. And this time, this portion, it says, if you want to do business, if you want to be friends, if you want to travel, be with somebody that studies Torah, studies Zohar, and a spiritual person. Let's read this section in Aramaic with the consciousness that we're going to meet. We're going to have a chance to meet all these spiritual people that we want to travel with, we want to get married with, and we want to be friends or do business with. תהכי תנין כל מען דלה אשתדר באורייתה אסיל למקרב לגביה ולהשתבנה בהדיה ולמעבד ביה סחורתה וקש למהך עמיה באורחה תהה ליד ביה מימונותה תנין כל בנון דאזיל באורחה ולית עמיה מלא דאורייתה את חיה ונפשיה קש מיין דאזדבג באורחה. This is for to finding a soulmate. I'm going to repeat it. Kav shin me'an de'ezdavak be'orcha in me'an delaya beya be'imonata dela chashiv le'kara de'maraya ve'didiya dela chas al nafshiya. Another section we're going to read is about respecting mother and father is equal to keeping Shabbat. We already spoke about it. Respecting mother means that I'm having malchut in my life. When I respect mother, like I said, our nefesh is here, our ruach is here. When I respect mother, I have malchut within me already. When I respect my father, is I'm having the ezer ampim. You know, the father always tells us, be kind, be nice, you know, do the right thing. So this is these qualities, and the mother is the source of happiness and joy. So by respecting them, we have these 10 sefirot within us. I know some of us, maybe we don't have our mothers and fathers around us anymore, but in spirituality it doesn't exist. Maybe we don't have them in the physical body that we recognize them. Their soul or their reincarnation could be in somebody else. Not could be, for sure, is in somebody around us. This is another class I would like to have with you guys sometime. Let's talk about it now. When, God forbid, after 120, our parents or one of them leave this world, there's one spark, one part of their body comes back right away to a person that we know, somebody that is close to us. And we're still going to get these messages, we're still going to have that connection with that person. Again, if we believe in death, so we are not going to see it. But if we're going to overcome the death, this is the lesson of today, we're going to start seeing the similarity. So the love and attention that I used to give to my father, there is somebody around me that I can give it to him. It's not reincarnation. Reincarnation is a different story. That's another part of the body comes back, that the nefesh is going to come back to a different body. But some part of his soul is going to come, make a ibur, make a connection with somebody around me. So I can continue having this relationship with somebody else near me that is not going to be like my father, but it's that connection, that love, that understanding, that relationship is going to manifest itself in a new relationship. It was a short notice, but hopefully some other time we can talk about it.
Now, will that always be father in a male, or could it be male or female?
Yeah, male.
And the mother and the female.
Yeah, yes, male is gonna be male and female is gonna be female. I'm gonna give you guys a personal example so maybe you guys can understand it better. My dad passed on from this physical world 10 years ago, and I see his sparks in two of my teachers, so male teachers. So, and it's amazing how there is so much resemblance. You know, if you study Kabbalah, then you're going to be able to see it. If you think beyond age, you know, age is always a concern for us, older, younger. If you think beyond age and this physical world, we're going to be able to see these possibilities. So, like, my father was my teacher for, I don't know, 30-something years. Then he came back in two different bodies and he's trying to continue my education. And it's very obvious. Hopefully we can talk about it some other time. So again, when the Torah says respect for father and mother, obviously the Torah knew that not all of us going to have the father and mother. So we have to look for these characters around us and fulfill this love that is missing, fulfill this connection that's missing with that new person that all of a sudden is more important in my life after our parents left. So we're going to read this section of the Zohar that talks about respecting your mother and father. Hopefully by reading this we're going to find those characters, whoever don't have it yet. איש אימו ואביו תיראו וכולי, התנין דפרשתה דה כללה דאורייתא מקיש דחילו דאבא ואימה לשבתותיי, אלא אמר רבי יוסי, כולה חד מהן דחיל מהאי נתיר להאי. We're going to move to another section, honor, kavod. Respect, احترام گذاشتن. The Torah, the Zohar, there's so many sections that talking about respect. And there is so many secrets, so many tricks. There is something called 32 netivot chokhmah. They say in chokhmah, like in Bina, there is 50 gates. In wisdom, there is 32 gates. And if you look at the word kavod in Hebrew, is also equal to 32. Kavod, that's 20, this is 2, this is 6, this is 4, equal to 32. Thank you. When we practice respect, we have a chance to reach that chokhmah, that wisdom. You know, when we see through our life, wise people, they respect everybody. And God forbid somebody is not wise, he doesn't respect everybody. So there is a strong connection between wisdom and respect. If we respect, then we have a chance to reach that wisdom. And the Zohar said something very interesting about respect. It says you have to respect even sinners. If somebody is doing a sin, we still have to respect him. We can't put them down. This is unfortunately in our community, we see it a lot. Let me find a section. Like somebody, I don't know, we see somebody that's not keeping Shabbat, for example. Right away we put them down. The Zohar says, no, don't put them down. Don't put them down because of me. Show him respect, show him love, and teach him the right way. Show him the right way. Don't talk about punishment. Don't talk about, God gonna punish you. There is no such a thing. Just for his own good, we have to approach him with love and respect. And this way, we have a chance to bring him to spirituality.
But the methods of teaching him are open.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It says respect even the sinners, even somebody is not in the right path. Okay. It says God has respect for him, so obviously you have to have respect for him. If he has a chance, if he has the freedom to do it, then means that he has the respect for him and he's waiting for him. So by us putting down somebody and telling him that God gonna punish you, this is not the right direction. We have to love him, we have to respect him, and we have to be a good example so he can learn the right way. I'm looking for that sentence. It's a beautiful sentence. Let's talk about. We're gonna find it later if it's gonna come to us. Another section of the Torah and then the Zohar talks about. Again, for whoever that came late, this portion we're talking about how to cleanse our neshama, how to cleanse our consciousness and thoughts. For the past 3 weeks, the first 2 weeks ago we talked about how to cleanse our body by consuming the pure animals and acting like humble animals. Last week we talked about the ruach part, our speech, our characters, and this week is about our consciousness. The Torah talks about don't hold your employees' salary for the next day. It says, the Torah says, pay your employee as you agreed. Yeah, we don't pay our employees the same day. We pay maybe weekly or every 2 weeks. But the Torah says, pay your employee what he deserves when you agreed on. Because when we are not keeping our contract, this is the biggest disconnection. Let me read it in English. We learn that if someone helps the poor, God will extend his life when his time comes to die. If, on the other hand, someone takes the wages of the poor, God will shorten his days, and nor will his soul ascend. So, he's talking about poor and whoever is waiting for us. He's expecting us to give him money and his wages. So if you're helping the poor, if we keep our word with our employees, that Zohar says our life get extended. If God forbid we don't help the poor and we hurt our employees or whoever work for us, is going to have a negative consequence. I always believe that everybody, any kind of a business contract, if somebody came to fix my air conditioning in my house, if somebody's coming bringing water to my business, always make sure that when the person leaves you, he leaves you with a smile, with the happiness. Never ever have a doubt that God forbid he's going to go and talk bad behind your back. God forbid he's going to curse us. We want everybody constantly bless us. When we agree on a certain amount, when we agree on a certain job, always make sure that person leaves you happy, with a big smile, and he blesses you. $10, $20, $100 really honestly won't make a difference in our life. But in this system, it does make a difference. Even $1 can turn off the light here for us. So we always, the gardener, the postman, the UPS guy, every single person that we work with, or you have a contract, maybe daily, weekly, monthly, maybe that person come to your life for a minute. But if you have a contract with him, make sure he lives with a smile and with a blessing. You want a poor man's blessing in your life. A rich man's blessing won't do much for you. A poor man's blessing is going to go very far in our health and blessings. The Torah, the Zohar again talks about, here we go. We said don't curse a deaf person. The Torah talks about this Shabbat. It says don't curse a deaf person. It doesn't make sense. I mean, he doesn't hear me anyway. What a difference does it make what I say? The Torah talks about the evil speech. The Zohar explained about who's the deaf person. Somebody is not here. Somebody is not here to defend himself. If I'm saying Lashon Hara, if I'm talking evil speech about somebody else, he's not here to defend himself. He's not here to hear me. So it's like I'm cursing a deaf person. That's what the Zohar explained. So why is we are not supposed to say Lashon Hara? Why we're not supposed to talk behind somebody's back? First of all, he's not there to defend himself. Second of all, we studied before that there is angels around us all the time. If we say a negative thing about a person, angel right away going to take that message to the higher court. I'm going to say, you see, that person did a bad thing. I have a judge, I have a witness right here. So when that courts open the books and going to see maybe we are lying and we are not saying the truth, so first that person gets hurt because I said the wrong witness. Second of all, I'm hurting myself because I'm bringing this judgment to myself. When I'm a false witness, my book is going to be open and they're going to judge me for my lie. So when the Torah says don't curse a deaf person, it's talking about don't say Lashon Hara. Don't talk behind any other person because it's going to come back to you in a negative way. There is angels, the negative angels constantly want to take this negative information and use it in the courts. Another section of the Zohar talks about what kind of consciousness we should have. I'm going to read it in English. It says, one should never mention another sin in public since God is concerned about the honor of every person, even the evildoers. If we see somebody is not keeping Shabbat, we should not come and announce, in public that person is not keeping Shabbat or that person is not eating kosher, because by hurting his honor, by disrespecting him, we are causing a much bigger damage to ourselves than we think that we are doing the right thing, but we are bringing damage to ourselves. So never mention anybody's false doing in public. Never disrespect anybody in front of other people, because the honor, the respect is more important than his action. And this is the last section we're going to read from the Zohar. He says we have to become spiritual as soon as possible in our life. The older we get, the weaker we get. We need gevurah, we need strength in a spiritual journey that we have. He says the sooner, the younger we are, the better we are. If we push it back for later on, it's going to be harder. I'm going to read it in English. Lastly, we are told that people should repent before they reach old age. It is more praiseworthy to act rightly when still in one's full strength. To stop myself from my negative behavior, to practice love to your neighbor, is easier in a younger age. The older we get, is the more difficult it becomes. That was the portion of this class. Let's do the Omer section, as we did it every week. Another part of love your neighbor as much as yourself, I forgot to mention it. What does it mean, love somebody as much as you love yourself? How do I love myself? How do you practice loving yourself? Loving yourself is fulfilling your needs. Any needs I have, and I fulfill it for myself, that means I love myself. If I'm hungry and I eat, that means I want to take care of myself. If I don't have clothes, then I go buy clothes. If I don't have a car, I go buy a car. So loving means fulfilling needs. The explanation of how to love is to fulfill needs. So one way to practice the most important mitzvah of the Torah is to fulfill other people's needs. If somebody is needy, that means by fulfilling his needs, I'm loving him and I'm practicing the most important mitzvah of the Torah. So by loving is not just saying it or giving a flower, is fulfilling needs. If you want to explain what love is fulfilling needs. Thank you very much.